Hi everyone, it's Robin and welcome back. Today I'd like to talk to you about cutting boards. If you've watched any of my videos in the past, you know that I like to decorate my home and I like to make things for my house that have that farmhouse feel. So for me, cutting boards are one of those items that are essential for a farmhouse kitchen. Whether they're new or they're old, I don't really care. I just know that I love them in my kitchen. I like the touch of wood that they bring to the space, and they add that warmth and that character that I love so much. So when I'm out and about shopping at thrift stores or antique malls or whatever, I'm always on the lookout for cutting boards. And I have not had very good luck in the past. And I have found a few at thrift stores that I've added to my collection, but they're not those big, huge ones that I am coveting. So I thought I would cheat just a little bit and make some of my own, because cutting boards are really quite simple to make. So that is what I'm going to show you how to make today, so that you can make a few of your own in any shape or any size that you want. That will help you get that farmhouse look that you want. So the first cutting board that I made, I wanted it to be really long and I wanted it to have a big chunky handle, and this is what I came up with. It is like super long. It's longer than a 9x13 pan. I can't even remember the dimensions, but I'll share that later when I show you how to make it. But basically, it's super duper long. It's got a nice big chunky handle. I did put a hole in the handle just in case I wanted to hang it, but for most of the time I just have it propped up on my counter and I absolutely love it. I have used it many times already and it is absolutely perfection and I love it so much. So after I made my first cutting board, I was like, you know what? I would really like a really humongous circle cutting board. That has been on my dream cutting board for a really long time. So I went back to my stash and I was trying to figure out how wide I could make a cutting board, and it just wasn't wide as big as I wanted it to be. So I decided to go to look for some wood. So I went to the store and I was looking through the aisles of the wood, and what do you think I found but a pre-cut circle? What? I've seen these before. I don't know what I was thinking. These are perfect. You can get them in a whole bunch of different sizes. This one is a 15-inch circle. It's about 1.5 inches thick, and I didn't have to cut it out. I didn't have to do anything. Just purchase it and bring it home. So this was like $5 at the store, and I was just like, what? So of course I got one and I brought it home and I made it into a cutting board. So I couldn't be happier with my 2 new cutting boards. So, alright, enough talking, let's go ahead and get into the tutorial. So the first thing you're going to want to do is make a template for the handle design that you're going to want to use. And once you have that made, you're going to transfer it onto some wood. The wood that I'm using is a 1x12 board, which I cut to 22 inches long. Once the design is transferred onto the board, you'll need either a scroll saw or a jigsaw to cut out the design. Today I decided to use my scroll saw. Then I took my electric sander and, starting with a medium grit sandpaper and finishing with a fine grit sandpaper, I went over the whole cutting board, making sure that everything was nice and smooth. The final step is to treat the wood of your new cutting board. I'll be using this Butcher Block oil and finish, which I found at the home improvement store in the stain aisle, and this is food safe. To apply the oil, I used a clean piece of t-shirt that I cut up for rags. I then applied a nice thick coat of oil all over the cutting board. I allowed the first coat of oil to dry for a couple hours, and then I added a second coat. Once that was dry, my cutting board was ready to be used. And here's a look at my fabulous new cutting board. I absolutely love it. For my second cutting board, I found this 15-inch circle at the store, and I simply brought it home and removed the packaging. I felt like my circle needed a little bit of sanding, so I used my electric sander, starting with a medium grit sandpaper and finishing off with a fine grit. I then gave the wood 2 coats of the Butcher Black oil and finish, and that's it. Project complete. The cutting board turned out beautiful, and I love how big and oversized it is. Both cutting boards turned out wonderful, the perfect addition to my kitchen. Alright, so those are my 2 new farmhouse style cutting boards, which I am totally in love with, and they have both proven to be very useful already. I've used them both for a couple days here in the kitchen, and I love them very much. And I am seriously thinking about making more. I probably don't need to make any more, but I kind of want to. So, alright, so if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, and I will see you again very soon. Bye now.